the range here at Ridgewood, and I have our expert Titleist club fitting man with us today. Richard, can you tell us a little bit about the club fitting process?
The most important thing is we're outside, so we can see ball flight. We're using a launch monitor that will track the ball while it's in flight. And then it's really, a repetitive process of getting the member or the golfer hitting some shots and pairing what we believe it would be the best fit for them in terms of a driver.
And this is based all around the numbers?
We're looking at, there's really three critical components that we're looking at in terms of fitting a driver: the ball speed, the spin rate, and the launch angle.
Right.
And it's really a process of the golf ball reacting, and it's the information that we're getting from the launch monitor that will help us pair up that driver that's correct for the player.
So you're relying on the numbers. How important is the feedback from the player?
We're going to ask them through the fitting process, what they're looking for in ball flight. Some players like to look at a lower ball flight than what we would consider ideal, so we would fit around that as opposed to, but more often we're trying to get people to get that ball up to create some lift, create some carry down the range.
Exactly, that's what you're after. The further you can carry the ball, ultimately the further you can hit it. It's going to make the game a whole lot easier.
Correct, correct.
All right, so anything else to add in terms of the driver fitting process? You'd highly recommend it for members? I mean, it's pretty important to get confidently off the tee.
We've got options, especially in this area. You've got options of where to go to get fit.
Sure.
I think the biggest thing is to be fit by a PGA golf professional, where you can see some ball flight outside. You're not hitting indoors. And I know here at Ridgewood, we're working on a TrackMan launch monitor. You guys have the flight scope. Those are the machines that are going to be able to decipher those numbers. We're confident enough in our own ability, but sometimes you need the golfer to take a step back, look at the computer, and say, okay, these numbers are good, or I've picked up 15 or 20 yards, off my driver.
The beautiful thing about these machines and their technology and the numbers that they create is it's probably going to give you a good idea of where you are technically as well.
You're
going to know if your angle of attack is too steep, too shallow. It's going to give you some hints, and that's going to help you and your golf professional figure it out.
In terms of the driver fitting, the driver is different than the irons. For people that say you want to have the same swing, throughout your entire bag, that's not necessarily true. Keep in mind, with irons, you're hitting the ball that's sitting on the ground. On a driver, you're hitting a ball that's teed up. With the driver, you want to hit on the upswing, as opposed to sometimes on the irons, you're hitting with what's called a negative angle of attack.
Exactly.
So you want to be, catching the drivers a little more on the upswing. These launch monitors can tell us, out on the PGA Tour, if guys are steep by 1 degree or positive, those are the longest hitters, the Dustin Johnsons, the Bubba Watsons of the world, as opposed to the guys that, really are very steep and trap the ball with their irons. You're going to find in the driver that they're going to launch it low and they're probably going to spin it. And you're working with a combination of shafts to try and fight that spin or get that spin down. Yeah,
hugely important things. Now, just for some fun facts for our members, can you tell me and tell our viewers just some statistics or numbers that a tour player might produce, just to put things into perspective?
The average ball speed off of a driver on the PGA Tour is about 165 miles an hour. But that's why, even at the Barclays here, they're carrying 3 woods into the woods, and most of your members can't hit driver there.
What's the carry distance with driver? An average?
Depending on the player, I don't know, I'm guessing, but the average, probably on the PGA Tour, guys are hitting at total distance, 280, 290 yards, where you're not going to find too many country club players. There's a reason those guys are on TV.
Yeah, exactly. They can play. Well, thank you very much for your time today. That's been all very useful information, and I'm sure that our members will enjoy next time they come out and have a play around with the drivers.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
No problem.